Hi everyone, my name's Andrew Hare. Welcome back to the Melodic Drummer. Today we're going to move to the second of the Fundamentals of Jazz Drumming series. In the first lesson of the series, we discussed just the ride cymbal, how to play the ride cymbal beat. Today we're going to take a big step forward and we're going to move to talking about the idea of comping. Comping is a somewhat, in my experience, mysterious concept for people coming to jazz for the first time. And that's primarily because it's not a simple pattern. It doesn't just repeat. Instead, it's an improvised response to what's going on in the music that's intended to complement what's happening in the music. So it can be a bit nebulous, and it can definitely be very daunting when you're first starting. I remember first listening to the album Kind of Blue and the great drummer Jimmy Cobb that we're going to be talking about today, and listening to his comping and thinking, why is he playing that? What is going on? What is the logic? What is the musical sense? So in order to approach this in a less confusing way, we're going to take it step by step. And I hope that by the end of this, you're going to have a clear idea of at least where to start. This is an ongoing process. This is something that all jazz drummers are working with and working on constantly. But I want to give you a good foundation to start that process. Okay. So the first thing that we have to talk about is our feet, because all that we've talked about so far is the ride cymbal, and the feet are actually a significant component of just the basic sound of jazz. So in fact, and as an interesting historical side note, the foot pedals were originally designed for jazz drummers to simulate the sound of many percussionists, two at least. So you had a bass drummer who could also play hi-hat, or maybe a bass drummer and a cymbal player, and then a separate snare drummer. And they wanted to find a way to be able to combine all of these sounds on one instrument so that one person could play them. And that's where the drum set actually comes from. So the feet are a hugely significant part of what you're doing on the drums, to say the least. So we need to talk about this. The only thing that we're really going to focus on is the basic foot pattern. What you're going to do with your feet while you're playing the ride cymbal. We're not going to talk about any of the extended possibilities. So essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to play 4 quarter notes on the bass drum, and beats 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. How you play those is very important, though. It's not just the rhythm. So on the bass drum, you have to play these quarter notes very, very quietly. The idea here is to blend your bass drum sound into the walking bass line that's going on. So your quarter notes and the bass player's quarter notes need to be perfectly lined up, and you really don't want your bass drum to be overpowering. It's a very, very light sound. This is also called feathering for a good reason, and this is something that many drummers, again coming from more backbeat oriented music, really struggle with, because this is not about stomping on the bass drum to drive the beat. This is much more restrained than that. The hi-hat, on the other hand, inversely, is very much more aggressive. The left foot sound is very crisp and sort of pops out of the sound. So in general, for myself, when I'm playing jazz, I'm playing with my right foot with the heel down for the feathering, and my left foot with the heel up, using the weight of my leg to really generate that crisp, articulate hi-hat sound, that chick. Okay. So let's just take a look at what this all looks like and sounds like. I'm going to show you just me playing basic time on the ride cymbal, feathering the bass drum, and playing beats 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. Check it out. Okay, so now you have a sense of what that sounds like and what that looks like. The first thing to do then is just to spend some time getting comfortable with just that. The right hand playing the spang-a-lang, the right foot feathering the bass drum, the left foot getting that crisp 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. That needs to be home base for you. That needs to be totally comfortable. You can do it without thinking. Then, the next step, what we need to talk about now, is what you're going to be doing with your left hand on the snare drum. So we're going to approach this in steps again. What I want to do is, I want to restrict the possibilities on the snare drum. The reason is, if we restrict the options, if you make it less open, it's a little bit easier to focus on what's actually important. And I'll explain more about that as we go along. So for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to restrict our possibilities on the snare drum to only two possible places. One is the and of 1, and the other is the and of 3. Both of these spots fit beautifully into the ride cymbal pattern. So if you think about lang, spang, a lang, spang, a lang, spang, a lang. The snare drum part here is like lang, a spang, a lang, a spang, a lang, a spang, a lang, a spang. So it's just in between the ride cymbal notes. And in general, in my experience, these two comping rhythms, the and of 1 and the and of 3, are basically the two most popular comping rhythms in jazz music, generally speaking. You're going to hear more of these than anything else. So these are really good rhythms to get comfortable with. So those are our only two options, the and of 1 and the and of 3. So what I'm going to show you guys is I'm going to just play 4 bars of the time with my ride cymbal beats playing spang-a-lang and the jazz foot pattern that we just saw. And I'm going to be playing the snare drum on the and of 1. Then I'm going to do 4 bars, same, but with the and of 3 on the snare drum, and then 4 bars with the and of 1 as well as the and of 3. Just so you can hear all the possibilities. Now, this is really important. Your snare drum, dynamically and also mentally, needs to be underneath your ride cymbal. In other words, your focus still should be on your ride cymbal beat. Your snare drum needs to fit into that ride cymbal beat. This is really important to your sound, your feel, your concept when you're playing jazz. You gotta keep your attention up here, okay? So practice this until, again, you feel as if these options on the snare drum are just totally comfortable to you. You don't have to think about them, you can just do them. Let's check out this video of me playing these two comping rhythms. Okay, so now you have a clear idea of the sound that you want to go for. And once you're comfortable with that sound, and you can hear it and play it, we're going to approach the final step of this exercise. And this is by far the most difficult part of the exercise. So let me break it down for you. Now we're going to be talking about actually comping with music. And in order to make this a little bit more manageable, we're going to use a really important concept called comping in the cracks, okay? Comping in the cracks just means you only play something when a soloist is not playing. The idea here is it's supposed to be like a conversational back and forth between you and the soloist. The soloist plays something, you respond back. The soloist plays something, you respond back. Could go the other way as well. When you're playing along with a recording, it's a little bit difficult to have the soloist respond back to you, but in reality, it could go either way. So this is a way of approaching comping that again restricts your options, but it allows you, as I said, because the options are restricted, it allows you to focus on what's really important. That is the music that's going on. So what you're going to do is you're going to use the Miles Davis solo from the song Freddie Freeloader from the album Kind of Blue. You remember I mentioned in the beginning about the album Kind of Blue and how intimidating I found this at first. So what you're going to do is you're going to play along with that solo. Now Miles' solo is classic solo. It's a great thing to learn anyways, but it's particularly nice for this exercise because Miles does a great job of leaving space in his solos. Generally speaking, he's one of the best at this, but this is one of my favorite examples. Okay, the other thing is, again, you get the pleasure of getting to play with Paul Chambers, who's just laying down perfect bass lines. Okay, so everything is there for you. You've got a perfect musical environment for developing good comping habits. Okay, so you're gonna play time, you're gonna play your jazz foot pattern, and you're gonna comp using the comping rhythms that we discussed exclusively, and you're gonna use those rhythms only in spaces in Miles' solo. That's it. That's the whole thing. Okay? I'm going to show you a video of what this looks like. Hopefully that will help clarify this. If you still have questions in your mind, hopefully the video will help clarify this. And then I'll come back after the video with just a couple of quick pointers. So now you've seen and heard what this comping in the cracks idea sounds like, and I hope that clarifies everything that I was saying. Practicing this way is one of the best ways that I know of to develop good comping habits. This is a great way to start, and I hope that it makes the process of learning how to comp a little bit more clear to you. Remember, eventually your options are going to expand, but for right now, the important thing is not what you can play, how many different combinations you can play. Really, nobody cares. The important thing is your musical taste, you know, staying out of the way of the soloist, but being able to engage in that conversational back and forth, all while really having a great groove on your ride cymbal and with your feet. That's what people care about. That's what other jazz musicians want in a drummer. Okay, so you're going to be developing really good habits when you're practicing this way. It doesn't mean that you're going to comp this way for your entire life, but it's a great place to start. In any case, thank you for checking out the video. I hope it helps you, and I plan on continuing this series. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. One other thing I wanted to mention really quick, I'm gonna also try to put a link to a written out version of this exercise using a different melody that's from my forthcoming book, Melodic Syncopation. So look for that link below in the description if you are looking for more information. Thanks. I'll see you guys next time.